Have you ever noticed something strange about people? When you do exactly what they expect, everything feels easy. They smile, they approve, they say, "You're a good person." But the moment you start doing something for yourself, suddenly, people become uncomfortable. They start asking questions. Why are you acting different? What happened to you? You used to be so nice. And sometimes, those words make you pause. They make you wonder if changing is wrong. But here's a quiet truth many people discover too late. Sometimes the person everyone liked was the person you created just to keep the peace. This is the story of the day someone finally stopped doing that. And strangely, that was the day her real life began. In a quiet town surrounded by hills and slow rivers, there lived a young woman named Lena. If you asked anyone in town about her, they would probably say the same thing. "Oh, Lena? She's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet." She was the kind of person who always listened patiently, the kind who helped without being asked, the kind who never wanted to cause trouble for anyone. If someone needed help moving something, Lena showed up. If someone needed advice, Lena stayed and listened. If someone asked for a favor, Lena almost never said no. And because of that, people liked her. They trusted her. They felt comfortable around her. But there was something about Lena that nobody really saw, not even her closest friends. Lena had a small habit, a habit so quiet that even she barely noticed it at first. Whenever she wanted to say something honest, she stopped herself. Whenever she disagreed with someone, she smiled instead. Whenever she had an idea that was different, she kept it to herself. Not because she was shy, but because a small voice in her head always asked the same question. What will they think? And slowly, without realizing it, Lena began adjusting herself to fit the room she was in. Different smile, different opinions, different version of herself. Whatever made things easier, whatever made people comfortable. At first, it felt harmless, but over time, something inside her started to feel strangely quiet, like a part of her had slowly stepped back. One evening, Lena was sitting at a cafe with a few friends. They were talking about life the way people sometimes do when the night gets long. Dreams, plans, things they wished they had the courage to try. One friend said he wanted to start his own company. Another talked about moving to another country. Then someone looked at Lena and asked, "What about you?" For a moment, she hesitated. There was something she had wanted to say for years, something she almost never told anyone. Lena wanted to become a writer. She loved stories. She loved the quiet magic of words. But before she could speak, someone at the table laughed lightly. "Lena, she would never do something like that." Another person added, "Yeah, Lena's too careful for big risks." Everyone chuckled, and Lena did what she had done 1,000 times before. She smiled, she nodded, and she said nothing. But inside, something quietly cracked. Later that night, Lena walked home alone. The streets were almost empty. The air felt cool and still. And for the first time in a long time, her mind was unusually loud. She kept replaying that moment at the cafe. Not the laughter, but the realization. Her friends weren't being cruel. They were simply describing the version of Lena they had always known. The safe one, the careful one. The one who never surprised anyone. And suddenly, a question appeared in her mind. A strange, uncomfortable question. When did I become that person? The next morning, Lena woke up earlier than usual. She went for a walk near the river that ran through the edge of town. The water moved slowly, reflecting the soft light of the sky. And not far from the riverbank, she noticed an old man sitting on a wooden stool. He was painting, but something about the painting caught Lena's attention. The sky on his canvas wasn't the same color as the real sky. It was brighter, full of unusual shades of blue and gold. Curious, Lena walked closer and asked, Why are you painting the sky like that?" The old painter looked at her and smiled. "Because that's how I see it." Lena studied the painting again. It was beautiful, but it was also different. "But what if people say it's wrong?" she asked. The painter laughed softly, not in a mocking way, more like someone who had heard that question many times before. "People complain about the sky all the time," he said. "If it's cloudy, they say it's too dark. If it's sunny, they say it's too hot." He dipped his brush into a deep blue color and continued painting. Then he looked at Lena and said something very simple. "If you wait for everyone to approve your sky, you will never paint anything." That sentence stayed with Lena the whole day, not because it sounded wise, but because it felt true. For years, she had been waiting for approval, waiting for agreement, waiting for the moment when everyone would be comfortable with who she really was. But that moment never came. And maybe it was never supposed to. So, slowly, quietly, Lena made a small decision. She stopped explaining every choice she made. She stopped adjusting every opinion. She stopped asking invisible permission to be herself. Something interesting happened after that. Some people felt confused. A few friends said she seemed different. Others slowly drifted away. But something else happened too. For the first time in years, Lena felt light, like she could finally breathe without measuring every word, like she could exist without constantly performing. And one evening, sitting alone at her desk, she opened a blank page and began to write. People will always have opinions. Some will understand you, some won't. But if you build your entire life around those opinions, you slowly disappear inside it. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is simply stop asking the world for permission to be yourself. If this story made you think about your own life, ask yourself one quiet question. What would you do differently if you stopped worrying about what people think? Share your thoughts in the comments. And subscribe to Mindshift Tales for more stories about courage, self-discovery, and the quiet decisions that change our lives.